Watch your step, it doesn't stop.
Please stand clear of the closing doors. Welcome aboard the Wheel. You have embarked on a wondrous 400-foot ascent into the central Florida sky. Cruising at a leisurely 1 mile per hour, you'll get to know the sights of Orlando aboard the tallest observation wheel on the East Coast. Be sure to have your cameras ready and take a moment to locate the north, south, east, and west markers above the windows so you know where to look. Gazing out over this thriving city, it's hard to believe that what you see began as lakes, wetlands, and palmetto prairie. But something about Orlando has always held a special fascination for dreamers who came from far and wide to make their visionary ideas reality. Well, today, most people know us for our theme parks and first-class hospitality. The story of Orlando and its legacy of dreams goes back thousands of years, when the original wheel was the hot new tech. In the beginning. Well, okay, actually about 12,000 years ago, the first human set foot in the region, now known as Central Florida. But unlike you, they didn't arrive to palm trees and sunshine. Would you believe that back then, Florida was frozen in a prehistoric ice age? These ancient nomads learned to live among the glaciers, making them the first Florida snowbirds. When the mighty glaciers melted, they created thousands of inland lakes. These new water sources drew many of Florida's indigenous tribes, like the Timucua and the Tocobaca, farther south. Centuries later, the Seminoles would inherit these tribes' ancestral lands after relocating to Florida from farther north. In 1513, Spanish conquistadors arrived in Florida, chasing dreams of eternal youth and expanded empire. These explorers found the temperate climate ripe for growing citrus and planted the region's first orange trees. Word of La Florida's abundance soon spread, driving more European colonization. By the early 1800s, few settlers had tamed the marshy central Florida wilderness that was then part of Mosquito County. Besides a few lawless outposts and a Seminole tribe reservation, the area was largely unpopulated until 1845, when the U.S. Army established Fort Gatlin near modern-day downtown Orlando. Old legend tells us of a Fort Gatlin soldier who lost his life single-handedly saving the fort from an ambush. His name was Orlando Reeves. When his fellow soldiers buried him on the banks of Lake Eola, they carved his name on a tree to mark the grave. Some say this is where our city got its name. After the Seminole Wars ended, fortune seekers fled the crowded northern cities to make their marks in Central Florida's young citrus industry. By 1875, the region had grown so so much that it was incorporated into a city. Orlando was born, and soon a new wave of dreamers was knocking at its door.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
The 20th century ushered in an industrial revolution, opening minds to new spheres of opportunity, including the stratosphere. After World War II, the country's fixation turned to rockets. Orlando found itself at the center of space fever when aerospace giant Martin Marietta, later Lockheed Martin, established a plant here in 1956. This was a prelude to the influx of rocketeers to Central Florida just 2 years later, as part of NASA's Project Mercury, headquartered 50 miles east on Cape Canaveral. As early as the 1880s, Central Florida had a toehold in the tourism industry with a few quaint lakefront hotels. With the opening of the Walt Disney World Resort in 1971, thrust this quiet citrus town into the role of a global destination, and Orlando never looked back. SeaWorld splashed onto the scene in 1973, bringing the ocean's wonders to Florida's heartland. And in 1990, Universal Studios added a little movie magic to Orlando with the opening of its first Florida theme park. Orlando's landscape has been shaped by a community of dreamers that continues to push the heights of our city's experience. Oh, and speaking of heights, in a few moments, you'll be at the peak of your own Orlando experience. So get ready. It's time to own the sky. From 400 feet in the air. For good measure, that's taller than the Magic Kingdom's Cinderella Castle and Universal Studios Hogwarts Castle, stacked on top of each other. Check out that view. As we coast over one of the highest arcs in the Sunshine State, I'll introduce you to some of my favorite hometown spots. Looking directly north, you may see something that looks a little out of place in the Central Florida skyline. A smoking volcano. This brimstone peak is the centerpiece of Universal Orlando Resort's Volcano Bay Water theme park. Back in 1990, Universal made history by opening up its first theme park and movie studio outside Hollywood. Today, this 500-acre resort brings the true Tinseltown experience to Central Florida with its city-block entertainment district, top-notch resort hotels, and both Universal Studios Florida and Island of Adventure parks. To the northeast, up the swerving spine of I-4, you can see the office buildings and high-rises of downtown Orlando. Downtown is the center of the thriving community of arts, technology, and healthcare innovation that also calls Central Florida home. Any basketball fans on board? Downtown Orlando's Amway Center is the official home court of the Orlando Magic. Back in 1992, the Magic drafted a tall young beatballer fresh out of college named Shaquille O'Neal. From what I hear, he did all right for himself, but I think the wheel still has a few inches on him. Directly east on the other side of Universal Boulevard are the rooftops of Lockheed Martin's Missile and Fire Control Facility. Inside, some of Aerospace's brightest talents mastermind the latest ballistic technologies. Even farther east, another group of geniuses have their eyes to the sky. Does NASA ring a bell? If you look past the cooling towers at Staten Energy Center, you might spy the blinking airplane lights atop the Kennedy Space Center's vehicle assembly building. This 500-foot structure has served as the delivery room for some of NASA's biggest curiosity probe. Today, space fans from all over make the hour drive from Orlando to Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex for launches. But my favorite place to watch is from right up here. Looking to the southeast, you might see a plane or two flying over the control tower of Orlando International Airport, formerly known as McCoy Air Force Base. The military hasn't used the airfield since the 70s, but its airport code, SCO, stuck. Turning farther to the south, you'll get a good look at International Drive, home to some of Orlando's most popular restaurants, pubs, and attractions. iDrive is also home to the Orange County Convention Center, the second largest convention center in the United States, distinguished by its dramatically stacked windows. This massive complex covers over 160 acres and counting. A little farther south, you'll see the twisting tracks of SeaWorld's Mako rising above the convention center. This 200-foot thrill ride is the largest roller coaster in Orlando. In addition to world-class thrills, SeaWorld is home to hundreds of rescued and rehabilitated fish, ocean animals, and other creatures of the deep. Since opening in 1973, SeaWorld has grown to include the interactive dolphin experience at Discovery Cove and Aquatica Water Park. Looking southwest toward Tampa, you might notice what looks a little like a giant golf ball peeking over the treetops. This geodesic sphere actually hosts Spaceship Earth, the flagship attraction of Walt Disney World's Epcot. If you wanted to play golf with it, you'd need to be over a mile tall. Did you know Walt Disney wasn't the first in his family to try his luck in Florida hospitality? In 1888, Walt's parents got married just west of Orlando in Lake County. They later moved to Daytona, where Walt's dad managed a hotel. It really is a small world. Directly west, toward the waters of Sandlake, is the neighborhood of Dr. Phillips, named after the Orlando citrus baron who revolutionized soft drinks with flash pasteurization, a process that rids canned drinks of metallic flavor. Today, the Dr. Phillips Foundation supports all kinds of local community service and arts organizations. Dr. Phillips is where you'll find Bay Hill Club and Lodge, host of the PGA Tour's Arnold Palmer Invitational. In 1974, Golf's king bought the modest Bay Hill Club and made it into a luxury golf resort. PGA stars like Tiger Woods have owned homes in the neighboring town of Windermere. Now, I know what you're thinking. An observation wheel as huge as this one has to be at the cutting edge of today's technology, right? Well, while the wheel is still a symbol of progress, the mechanics of this 400-foot marvel are not so different from the original Ferris wheel of 1893. When George Ferris Jr. introduced his 260-foot rotating wonder at the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, the Ferris wheel was a true innovation in engineering. Weighing over 70 tons in solid iron, the spinning behemoth was run on a 1,000 horsepower steam engine and could carry over 2,100 passengers at a time. The cabins were converted railroad cars, each outfitted with rotating chairs, so riders were literally at the height of comfort during their 20-minute revolution. Like its cast iron forefather, this wheel is supported by a cobweb structure of spokes, spindles, and hubs. Wheel opened back in 2015. It was the second tallest attraction of its kind in the United States and the fifth largest in the entire world. Weighing a whopping 1,500 tons, it's over 21 times heavier than Ferris's original. Thanks to its steel frame, it is also significantly more stable and can resist hurricane-force winds. But instead of steam power, the wheel operates on 14 6.6 kilowatt engines with a combined 123 horsepower. And rather than tricked-out boxcars, its sleek fiberglass shielded capsules take inspiration from the streamlined ski lift cabs that scale the Alps. After 3 years of construction, the wheel took its inaugural flight on April 29, 2015. Of course, in true Orlando fashion, its grand opening was a real spectacle. All eyes were on Central Florida that rainy, windy morning as world-famous daredevil Nick Wallenda attempted to walk the spinning wheel without a harness. The king of the high rider braved the Florida weather and safely crested the 400-foot outer rim in a matter of 5 minutes, setting a world record for the greatest distance walked at the top of an observation wheel. Pretty iconic, right? But I don't recommend you try it. Of course, feats of daring aren't the only skyscraping spectacular the wheel has to offer. The wheel is programmed with 5 unique lighting effect sequences, and every night you can watch this big guy illuminate the Orlando skyline with its colorful light shows. Attention flyers! We are making our final descent into the Wheelhouse, Icon Park's central gathering place. Icon Park offers a mix of attractions, restaurants, and shopping that's a cut above the usual. From high thrills to trendy chills, every suite of fun is on hand in Orlando's hometown playground. Inside the Wheelhouse, you and your squad can take an in-depth look and discover something amazing, from sharks to clownfish, inside Sea Life Aquarium. If your lifestyle favors adventurous, walk the red carpet on over to Madame Tussauds. I hear it's the place to hobnob with Hollywood A-listers, Hall of Fame athletes, and even world leaders. Tell them the wheel sent ya. And if you're craving more high-altitude thrills, we go right out of the Wheelhouse over to the 450-foot Orlando Star Flyer for a 60-mile-an-hour spin at Disney Heights. Okay, they're a little taller than us, but we're not jealous. Promise. Does all that high flying have you hungry? Lucky for you, Icon Park has dozens of dining options, from light bites to full meals. Whether you're in the mood for burritos, burgers, sushi, or sweets, Icon's got your taste buds covered. And if you want to know where the party is, it's right here at Icon Park. With the Florida sunsets, we're just revving up for a night of bumping beats, sizzling eats, and some potent potables. And what better place to get a little buzz on than at 400 feet aboard the Wheel's Sky Bar? So we'll see you there, right? Attention flyers! We're approaching Wheelhouse Station. I hope you enjoyed your flight aboard the Wheel. It's been a blast sharing with you the sights and stories of my home, Orlando. You're one of the family now, and if you took any cool family pics on your journey, be sure to tag them at Icon Park Orlando or hashtag Icon Park on social media. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here in the City Beautiful or wherever your travels take you. Please gather your belongings and stand by to disembark. Until next time, flyers, so long and keep dreaming. Please stand clear of the opening doors. Doors are now open.